Hi guys, you're welcome back to this episode of basic shell or simple shell rather. Okay, so this is day 4 part 1, and if you haven't seen day 3 part 4, there's going to be a link here for you to access it. If you can't see the link, just go to the playlist and check for the video. Alright, so this is the continuation of day 3 part 4. So if you've seen day 1 to 3 so far, you can drop a comment on the comment section so I can know you are following along, and probably someone might need your help and they can chat you up on the comment section. Alright, so let's get started. And in this task, we'll be solving this task, right, which is to find a file in the path. So we want to look for a file in a particular path. It says write a program that will look for a file in the current path. Okay, so there's a command which allows us to actually look for a file, right? And the command is called access. Okay, the access function. So let me cd into my shell tutorial that we've been using. Let me turn off my caps lock. Okay, so I will man access, or man2 access rather. Let me use man2. Okay, so look at the access. It collects the path name. We are looking for a file in a particular path, and then we have an int of mode. This mode could be of different types. We could have ROK, WOK, XOK, and we could also have FOK as seen here. Okay, so the FOK is used to find a file. The ROK is used to check if the file is writable. The WOK, sorry, readable. The WOK for writable, and the XOK for executable. Okay, so these are the basic things that we need, and then you need to know that it is a system call, right? So you need std, okay, .h. All right, so we also have another sister one which is called fa access at, right? F access at rather. So f access at also can be used, but basically we'll be using access for now, and then we'll dive into it. Let's dive into our project. So what we'll be doing is, it says that find a file in the path. We are looking for a file in a particular path, but they said it's our current path. It's our current path. So we don't need to put some flags like /bin/ls. So it means we just write the file name and look for it. Which means that if we man2 access, we're just going to put the file name here because we're in our current path, and then we'll say FOK, which means we are looking if the file exists. The mode specify the accessibility check to be performed, and is either the value FOK or a mask consisting of bitwise or of one or more of this. So I think we could have also two. We could be saying, okay, we want to know if it exists, if we can write into it, and then I think we can use bitwise operator to say that. Okay, so the FOK test for the existence of the file. Alright, so we'll be using this because we want to know if that file exists in our current directory, or current path rather. So ROK, WOK, and XOK test whether the file exists and grants read, write, and execute. As you can see, read, write, and execute permission respectively. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to create our file, right? So and then the usage, okay, we could have just used that access to determine the file existence, right? But they said we have to use this which command as well. Okay, we have to use this which. Okay, so to see if it exists. So we'll go into it and then we'll see how it's going to work. Let us call it find file. Okay, so vi find file .c. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to include the necessary header So I'll include my stdio.h, right? I'll include my unistd, which is necessary for system call. Okay, and then I can include, okay, for now let's still leave that. Okay, but we could just include it down in case we want to use it. So let me just include some other ones. Include okay, we'll be using standard library dot h. We include let's include system types.h in case we need it. Let's include all the necessary guys we might need. Include system weight.h in case we need it. Okay, and then is there any other one? Okay, if there's any other one, probably we are gonna include it in the process. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to use that access to check if the file exists. So I'm going to create a function here that will help us do that. So I'll say void and then check for file, okay, if the file exists, or check, let's say check command, because we'll be sending a command. So it's going to collect a parameter just for we're going to have just one parameter because the second one is a constant, right? So we'll say it's going to collect parameter age, character, right, pointer, and then we'll have our command. Okay, good. So we'll have this, and then what do we do next? We'll say that if, right, or if will be like this. So if it exists, you should print if the file exists. So I'll still put the command there. So if the file exists, print what? This %s, right? And then that we found the file, right? If it exists, we'll say found the file, and then that %s should be what? It should be our command that we input, that okay, that file has been found. Okay, because we are using one statement, we don't need to put it in a block. Then we can say else, okay, and then we can still print that as well. Print f, and then we'll say %s file can't be found, doesn't exist, Okay, so turn off my caps lock. All right, so what do? We want to check our file. It's as simple as that. We then say the thing is, one thing is the access command returns 0 on success and then -1 when not successful, right? So we'll say if our access returns 0, then you should print this guy, else you should print this. So what will be in our access? We have two things, right? We'll first have our command, which is what we put the file path, right? Since it's in the same directory, so we can just put the name of the file, and then we want to look if it exists, f_ok, right? Okay, and then that will be all, and we don't need to put semicolon here because it's an if statement. All right, so I think we are done with this. So this one will deal with the command. We can call it in the function we'll be doing. So we are going to be creating like a prompt, like a simple shell prompt, you get, to add to then request for the command, and then this one will perform the task for us. Okay, so what we do next is we say int main, and then I can give this one void. So this is what we want to do now. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is, okay, since we are not using Betty, so let me just come back here. Okay, we can have spaces, but in your code I think you would need to use Betty anyway. So we'll create a buffer, and then the buffer size. So we'll have a buffer will be a pointer buffer. We'll set it to null, right? Because we want our, what's it called, our guy um, gets line to take care of it, to handle it. And then we will have our size underscore t, and then our standard library dot h will deal with that. So that one will take in our buffer size, right? So we'll have our buffer size. Let me put underscore here. So you can use n, because n is easier to type and it's easier to use. So I will set this one to 0, right, according to the um, standard library. So we are going to have a string tokenization. So that one also takes a character pointer, because strings are in character, right, pointer. So we'll just declare this and then let's go on. Okay, so I'll say var1, which is the basics for our shell. We have our parentheses. So we'll say we want to first print. So I'll use my write function, since we are not going to be really using printf like that. Okay, so this one, I don't know, probably we're gonna use, is it gonna be put? We can use put for this guy, but anyway, I'll find a way to see what we can do to this guy. Probably we're gonna collect the imp output from this guy. I'm looking at a way where we can replace this printf anyway, but let's still continue for now. All right, so we want to print the standard output, right? I'm saying this one because write, I'm not sure it can collect formats like this, so that's why I'm saying that. Okay, so we want to write, let's say we've been using C is font, and then dollar, and then space, right? I don't want it to be congested together. And then I'll put my comma, and then how many is this? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So that's 8. You can also put 9 just to be in safer side, right? So we'll have that. We'll write that to the person, and then we'll get the input, sorry, get line from the person, and then we'll say what, we'll have our buffer, but it's going to be the address. So, and which is the amper buffer, comma, and then amper buffer size, buffer underscore size, comma, and then what else are we going to have? We're going to have the standard std in to tell you that we are collecting from standard input, and then that's it. So once we have it now, what are we going to do? We have the command, then we tokenize. Okay, so we'll say token. So we use our string toke function. So because of that, we are going to have our string guy over here. So I'm going to include my string.h, right, and then let's go down back. Okay, so we have our string tokenization, and then what are we going to do next? String tokenization collects 2 arguments, which is the buffer, comma, and also what we want to separate it with, right? So those are the 2 things, and then that will be in a quotes, and then so what are we going to be separating it with? Okay, since we can have probably we'll be having multiple command, which, and then we would have the file name, 2 command majorly, so we could have 3 commands anyway. So we'll be using spaces to separate them. We'll use tab and new line as well to separate them. Okay, so that will be good. So I don't know, I haven't tried it without tab and new line, right? Because I won't be trying it, because I basically always just read and then come here to do it, so that if I'm making any mistakes, you would see those mistakes and learn from them. Okay, so um, for those that what will I say? For those that are just used to say it's not beneficial, it's going to be because every mistake is going to be live, so you'll be able to, so there are possible mistakes that you'll be making, and then you will be able to follow through how to solve those mistakes. All right, so the next thing is we have this. Remember that second time, if we are using string tokenization, this one will be passed with null, right? Okay, so what do we do next? When we say if, right, then we'll use a command called string compare, which will compare our first guy with which. Okay, so if our string compare this returns 0, it means it is correct, right? So we'll compare that our first guy, which is token, right? We'll compare token. We'll compare it with the command called which, right? So we want to compare token with which. So we want to know if the person first typed which and then the file name, right? So this is the main thing. Forget about this one for now. This is what we are following through. So we've input this, we've collected it, we've extract the first word. We want to see if the first word is which. If it returns 0, it means it is which. That's when we execute this guy. Okay, so if it is which, we'll do something here, right? Else, it means it is not which. Then else, we just print an error or something, right? Else, okay, let me write. Okay, let us use our write function. All right, so we are writing to the standard output, and then we say command, this is our caps log, command doesn't exist. Okay, so we'll do that, and then of my caps log, how many is this? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21, let's just say 22. Okay, and then so we'll write this to the person. So I think that's done, and then at the end we can return 0. Okay, so let's go what happens if it is which that was pressed, right? So if it is which, then we want to get the second guy. So we just say token to get the second guy, and then string toke, right? And then we'll pass null to this guy, comma, and then what again? What we are separating with space, and then probably a tab, and then new line. Okay, so we use that, and then the next thing we're going to do is we've gotten the second one. The second one is now token, right? So we'll say while the second one, while token, while the second one, right? Then we'll finish up with this. So this is when we now use that function that we created above to look for it. Another way you could put that function that we did above, you could do it here. So, but I feel that it's going to be just too long if you're using Betty. Okay, so we'll then say check. I think we use check command, right? And then it collects the commands. That's token. So we're going to pass in token to this guy, right? So to collect this guy, and then end it. So if this one would process the token and then give you the needed output, right? So the next thing, one more thing, we could just continue and get token, update it to the next one. Okay, string, so we could get the next one as well, string toke, right? And then we'll have a null, and then we'll have our token again. Oh, sorry, null and space tn, right? So with this, I think we are good with this task. Okay, so let us test and check what any error we could get. So since we don't have any flag, so let us just find files. The output should be find files. Okay, find file. Let's put it with just one. Okay, so percent else file doesn't exist. Okay, this one we didn't put the particular file, right? So let us go. Number 13, vi let's use this. Where is it? Okay, we didn't put command here, so I hope that's the only error we made. So we'll come here and put command, right? And then go and compile again. So it worked. So let's see, find file. Okay, say so if we put J, for example, command doesn't exist, and then it brought us back to C is fun. So because of that, let me see, and then let me put a new line so it's going to work very well. Vi find file.c, and then after this guy, let's put a new line here, new line, Is there any other one? Command doesn't exist here, this guy. Wait, I think I will have to, okay, those ones are printf statements. So new line. So let me just update this one to 23. Because okay, good. So we've saved it, and what's going on is hanging. Let's be fast before data says no. Alright, so find files. So we have this, let's put J for example. It's hanging, guys, it's hanging. Say command doesn't exist, right? So if we say find and then file, command doesn't exist. So let us use which, right? So there's a file that exists. Let's look find file.c, find underscore file.c, right? It said found the file, right? And then it brought out the file name, right? So if we say which ffi.c, you say file doesn't exist, right? So we have to use that which. So let's say d let's say find underscore file.c, command doesn't exist, right? So let's say which find file.c, and also we have ppid. Let's see, found the file, right? So it gave us both. So I think so far we are doing good. You can test this guy with so many things and let me know if something doesn't work. Probably we can just readjust it. So with that, I think we'll be done with this task. So far we learned the access guy. I think it's part of one of the commands given to us to use in the project, so it's going to be a great thing to do. So we only use which to find, and then we use this guy. So basically that's it. So the access helps us to easily do that. So the next video will be talking about the environment. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Anyway, see you. Bye. Thank you.